Pursuant to notice, I now call up H.R. 4140, the Burma Genocide Accountability and Protection Act. The bill was circulated in advance, and the clerk shall designate the bill.
H.R. 4140, to provide protection, support, and humanitarian assistance to Rohingya refugees and internally displaced people in Burma.
Without objection, the first reading is dispensed with, and the bill is considered read and open to amendment at any point. Without objection, the Meeks amendment in the nature of a substitute circulated to members in advance shall be considered as read and will be treated as original text for the purposes of amendment. I now recognize myself in support of the bill. I want to thank Ranking Member Meeks and Chairman Emeritus McCall, Representative Berra, Representative Huizenga, for introducing the Burma Gap Act. For too long, the world has watched as Rohingya people have focused unspeakable horrors, genocide, mass rape, torture, and forced displacement. All that at the hands of the Burma military. This isn't history, it's happening as we speak. This bill sends a clear message: the United States will not stand by while war criminals rule with impunity. It calls genocide what it is. It backs justice with action, funding investigations, supporting survivors, and holding perpetrators accountable. It empowers Rohingya voices and demands that any future Burma include them as equal citizens, not stateless victims. Over 600,000 Rohingya remain trapped in Burma. This bill gives them hope and the tools to rebuild their lives. It also confronts Burma's military junta head-on, isolating it diplomatically and economically until democracy is restored. This is a test of our values. If we believe in human rights and justice and dignity, then we should pass this piece of legislation. The time for silence in this matter is over, and I urge every member to stand up with a yes vote. Any other members seek recognition? Representative Meeks.
Let me thank you, Mr. Chairman, for marking up my bill, the Burma Gap Act. And I want to thank all the co-sponsors, especially co-lead Representative McCall and original co-sponsor Representatives Berra and Huizenga. This bill passed our committee last Congress, and I hope this year we can get it signed into law. After years of congressional pressure to investigate the Burmese military's violence against the Rohingya in March 2022, the State Department made an official determination that members of the Burmese military committed genocide and crimes against humanity against Rohingya. According to former Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, the Burmese military's attack forced nearly 100,000 Rohingya to flee to Bangladesh in 2016 and killed more than 9,000 Rohingya and forced an additional 740,000 to flee the following year. Unfortunately, the violence hasn't ceased. In 2021, the Burmese military conducted a coup, imprisoned much of Burma's civilian government, and went to war against its own people. Around 600,000 Rohingya remain in Burma's Rakhine state and face violence, starvation, and worse. As violence continues within Burma and more innocent civilians flee to camps in Bangladesh, Thailand, and other neighboring nations, international assistance has failed to keep up with the growing humanitarian need. The bill continues U.S. focus on Burma crises and provides support for a Rohingya community that still faces violence and repression. The bill calls for a holistic strategy and authorizes a special representative and policy coordinator for Burma to manage the complicated, multi-dimensional challenges across the East Asia Pacific and South and Central Asian bureaus in the absence of a U.S. ambassador in Burma. It authorizes funding for protection efforts and justice and accountability programs and calls on the administration to continue contributing to critical humanitarian efforts. And finally, it calls on the administration to continue the bipartisan policy of refusing to recognize the Burmese military and state administrative council as Burma's legitimate government. By voting for this bill, our committee will make it clear that the United States will hold the murderous junta accountable. We make clear that we stand with Rohingya and all the Burmese people who continue to face violence today, and we make clear that we want to see a democratic and inclusive Burma that Rohingya can safely call home. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Any other members seek recognition? Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I support Ranking Member Meek's legislation, H.R. 4140, which seeks to provide support to Rohingya refugees who have fled the country due to the genocidal policies of the Burmese government, as well as to hold accountable those Burmese government and military officials responsible for this genocide. The Rohingya, as we all know, are an ethnically distinct, predominantly Muslim group who have, by and large, been pushed out of their homelands and into neighboring Bangladesh. Truly, the actions of the Burmese government and their military are extraordinarily reprehensible and support the designation of genocide, which former Secretary of State Anthony Blinken previously announced. To the Rohingya people, we need to say with one voice, you are not forgotten. And to the other oppressed people of Burma, including the Chin, the Karen, and many of whom are Christian, I would also add, you are not forgotten either. I yield back.
Any further discussion of the bill? Seeing none. Being no further discussion of the bill, the committee will move to consideration of amendments. Does any member wish to offer an amendment? Seeing none. Being no amendments, I move that the committee report H.R. 4140 as amendment to the House with a favorable recommendation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion is agreed to.
Roll call vote.
A roll call vote has been requested pursuant to the chair's previous announcement. This vote will be postponed.